It's Wednesday, May 20th. In the headlines, the government to reform PATH program to speed up benefits for vulnerable Jamaicans. In business news, we have the latest market report and more. Regionally, CARICOM-China trade nears $10 billion as cooperation deepens. And in sports, no video assistant referee is to be in play for the remainder of the local Premier League season. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. More reforms are coming to the Program of Advancement through Health and Education, PATH, aimed at speeding up access to social protection benefits for vulnerable Jamaicans. Labour and Social Security Minister Pernell Charles Jr., speaking during the 2026-2027 sectoral debate in Parliament on Tuesday, said the overhaul will reduce bureaucracy and allow approved applicants to receive support more quickly. Minister Charles says under the revised system, persons who receive provisional approval through the Beneficiary Management Information System will immediately move to temporary payable status.
Our review, Prime Minister, established that steps 2 and 3, the verification and the orientation, could at times be delayed for months, leaving applicants in a state of uncertainty, despite the fact that they have received preliminary approval.
He says the verification and orientation stages will now be modernized with clearer timelines, stronger operational standards, and improved accountability measures. The minister also announced improvements to the program's recertification framework.
What the review revealed is that far too many beneficiaries, the legitimate changes affecting their household status was not being updated. They were not getting those updates to their status because of the issues in the system. As a result, some of the beneficiaries experienced delays, interruptions, others were left stalled within the recertification process, just ongoing, while awaiting updates to reflect important life changes. And let me give you an example. For instance, a child transitioning from primary to secondary school, that change could not be put in place.
According to Minister Charles, beneficiaries whose cases were delayed because of unresolved status updates will now be progressively regularized as the ministry accelerates the reconciliation process.
That is why the ministry is now strengthening the recertification framework to ensure that household updates are processed more efficiently, status changes are reflected more quickly, and eligible beneficiaries receive the appropriate level of support to which they are entitled.
PATH provides support to vulnerable families and is intended to help break the cycle of intergenerational poverty. During the last financial year, the program delivered more than $9.1 billion in direct cash grants to over 240,000 Jamaicans. The government says it is continuing to strengthen Jamaica's early childhood sector through increased funding, expanded infrastructure, and greater access to trained teachers. State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information, Rhoda Moy Crawford, made the announcement while addressing the opening of the Early Childhood Commission's annual Professional Development Institute in Montego Bay on Monday. Danita Rodney reports.
The government has allocated nearly $31 billion to Jamaica's early childhood sector this fiscal year. Speaking at the 4-day Early Childhood Commission conference in St. James, State Minister in the Ministry of Education, Rhoda Moy Crawford, said the funding represents almost 20% of the Education Ministry's recurrent budget.
This represents a foundational investment in Jamaica's human capital pipeline, not a marginal allocation. It reflects a deliberate policy commitment to strengthening access, quality staffing, training, maintenance support, and caregiver development across the sector.
The State Minister says the government remains committed to ensuring all ECC-registered institutions have trained teachers, noting that 108 teachers have already been approved for the sector.
We are committed to providing one trained teacher per institution registered with the ECC, having the permit to operate, and the infant enrollment per teacher ratio as outlined by the EC Act. Importantly, 108 teachers at the early childhood level have already been announced, and we now await details from the ECC to address the gaps.
The minister shares that approximately 81,000 learners across infant schools and lower primary grades are now benefiting from trained teachers, while the government continues scholarship support for untrained practitioners through the ECC.
Also, the ministry continues to provide approximately $10 million annually in professional development scholarship support to assist the upgrading of untrained practitioners with the process managed through the ECC. Our ministry continues to work with primary schools, infant departments, basic schools, and private early childhood institutions to improve quality and consistency.
She continues saying rebuilding efforts following Hurricane Melissa will also create opportunities to expand the infant departments at primary schools with available space.
The government commitment also extends to the development of more infant departments attached to the primary schools and the strengthening of brain builder centers. And what we should know too, while Hurricane Melissa brought catastrophe in the country, especially in the western region, and significantly impacted many of our schools, one good that will come from our rebuilding efforts is that for every one of our primary schools that has the space to accommodate infant department, those will be constructed there.
The conference, being held under the theme Making Rights Real, Reclaiming General Comment 7, brings together educators, policymakers, and development partners to strengthen early childhood education and children's rights in Jamaica. For the news on PBCJ, I am Denida Rodney.
Workers at the National Works Agency are growing increasingly frustrated over unresolved staffing and compensation issues. According to reports, approximately 78 employees have threatened to withdraw their services if urgent action is not taken. According to the Jamaica Civil Service Association, the workers are demanding progress on long-standing concerns related to staff restructuring and reclassification. Among the issues raised are salary anomalies, the non-alignment of technical officers, unpaid allowances, vacation leave concerns, and what employees describe as a lack of meaningful engagement by management on the restructuring process. The JCSA says it has written to the NWA's Chief Executive Officer seeking urgent intervention and immediate discussions involving the agency and the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. The historic Morant Bay courthouse in St. Thomas is undergoing a multi-phase restoration to be transformed into a state-of-the-art national museum. Members of the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation toured the facility this week, along with representatives of the Culture, Health, Arts, Sports and Education Fund, Chase Fund.
Today we are doing the design and concept site visit. After that we will get into the actual designing of the project, architectural work, engineering work, quantity surveying work, and then from that we go through all the other steps of getting approval, and then we get to implementation.
The old Morant Bay courthouse is steeped in history. It was the scene of the Morant Bay Rebellion of 1865, led by preacher Paul Bogu, who is now one of Jamaica's 7 national heroes. The project aims to preserve the site and boost heritage tourism in eastern Jamaica. Over the years, it has also been used for meetings of the then St. Thomas Parish Council, as well as sittings of the Circuit Court in St. Thomas. Time now for the business report.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Bank of Jamaica is offering 27 billion Jamaican dollars of certificates of deposit to financial institutions, individuals, and public sector agencies on Wednesday. The 30-day investment, priced at 5.75% per annum, is aimed at pulling money out of circulation to help contain inflation. Of that amount, 25.65 billion will be available to private financial institutions and individuals on a competitive basis. Interest will be paid at maturity on June 19 after the government's 25% withholding tax. 3 listed companies have reported their financial results for the quarter under review. Seprod is reporting sharply higher first quarter profits despite lower revenues linked to the lingering effects of Hurricane Melissa on the tourism and hospitality sector. For the 3 months ending March 31, the manufacturing and distribution group recorded profits after tax of $1.65 billion. That represents a 94% increase compared with the corresponding period last year. Looking ahead, Seprod says it remains focused on regional expansion, improving efficiency, strengthening brands, and driving long-term shareholder value despite continued global economic uncertainty and supply chain pressures. Next, Caribbean Producers Jamaica is reporting a first quarter loss as the company continues to recover from recent disruptions linked to hurricane impacts. For the 3 months ending March 2026, CPJ posted a net loss of just over $1.1 million. This compares with a net profit of $1.8 million in the same period last year. The company says the first quarter reflected a critical period of stabilization and recovery for its operations, particularly in hospitality markets that are still not fully operational. Moving from distribution, we turn to finance. Sterling Investments is reporting lower first quarter profits amid foreign exchange losses and weaker gains from investment sales. The company posted net profit of $16.08 million, a decline of about 65.7% compared to the year earlier. Sterling says revenue totaled $23.2 million during the quarter, mainly due to unrealized foreign exchange losses caused by an appreciation of the Jamaican dollar. Despite the decline in profit, Sterling says total expenses fell sharply by more than 67%, while equity increased by 3.5%. The investment company says it remains optimistic that ongoing market volatility and global uncertainty will create attractive investment opportunities going forward. For the trading period of May 19, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Kentire Holdings Jamaica Limited with 18,895,629 units, representing 43.33% of market sales activity. Lasco Distributors Limited with 5,957,265 units, representing 13.66% of market sales activities. Woodcats International Limited with 3,891,585 units, representing 8.92% of market sales activity. Investor activity remained concentrated in distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for May 19, 2026. Forex traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity, with the US selling at $156.57 and buying at $158.84. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gains supported by 61-cent transaction spread. The Canadian dollar sold for $115.59 and was bought for $114.98. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $2.32 in profits for the bank. The British pound sold for $212.23 and was bought for $209.91. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import cost debt servicing or overseas exposure. For our credit report tip of the day, credit is often treated as something to fix after problems arise, but the more powerful approach is to treat it as infrastructure. Your credit profile is not just a score, it's a trust record, a financial identity, a leverage tool, and a timeline accelerator. When managed intentionally, credit reduces friction across your life decisions, and when you ignore your credit score, it quietly increases costs and limitation in almost every category that matters. So the question is not simply, what is my credit score? A more strategic question is, what kind of life becomes possible if my financial profile lowers the cost of every major decision I make? Because in practice, credit does not just determine what you can buy, it influences how freely you can live. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, in 2025, trade volume between China and the 15 CARICOM countries reached $9.63 billion, a year-on-year increase of nearly 50%. That's according to Deputy Head of Mission and Counselor to the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Trinidad and Tobago, Yang Han, who noted that both CARICOM and China continue to strengthen bilateral ties. The details in this TTT News report.
Speaking at an academic symposium on China-Caribbean cooperation on Tuesday, Deputy Head of Mission and Counselor, the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Trinidad and Tobago, Yang Han, highlighted the fast-growing partnership, reaffirming China's commitment to friendship and shared progress with the region. He underscored China's recent assistance of 100 million yuan to Trinidad and Tobago for the construction of a new forensic sciences center.
The two sides are set to launch construction of the new Forensic Science Center in Trinidad and Tobago. I'm confident that it will become a modern, high-tech facility helping Trinidad and Tobago better address the critical challenge of crime.
He added that a cohort of Caribbean countries participating in the Belt and Road Initiative, China's flagship global infrastructure and economic development strategy, have already benefited from significant national upgrades.
A host of key cooperation projects, including the Phoenix Park Industrial Estate in Trinidad and Tobago, the Demerara Harbour Bridge in Guyana, and the North-South Highway in Jamaica, have been completed, effectively boosting local economic growth and improving people's livelihoods.
Mr. Han noted that regardless of global circumstances, China remains committed to working with Caribbean nations to build an even closer community with a shared future. Meanwhile, economist Dr. Indira Sajiwan emphasized the potential to strengthen regional tourism by adopting elements of the historic Silk Road model to encourage greater people-to-people exchange.
China is one of the largest countries in terms of population. Are we talking about people-to-people? Tourism is important in the region. How do we bring more Chinese tourists to the region? A simple one is if we could just bring a tiny percentage of what your travelers are.
The discussion under the theme China-Caribbean Cooperation Amid a Changing World was hosted at the Arthur Lockjaw Global School of Business on Tuesday.
Prime Minister Mia Mottley says government remains committed to shielding Barbadians from the impact of the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Speaking at this year's Barbados Manufacturers Association State of the Industry Conference, the Prime Minister stressed that measures introduced in the budget are helping to ease the effects of rising energy costs.
In the United States, the price of gasoline has gone up by at least 40 US cents per liter. 40 US cents per liter. Make the numbers make sense. In the United Kingdom, the price has gone up, the gasoline by about 34 US cents per liter, and by about, for diesel, 60 US cents per liter. In Barbados, even with the increase now, it has gone up by 28 Barbados cents, or to remain in context, 14.14 as opposed to 40. But the government has taken a deliberate decision to be able to shield as much as we can in the event of this being short to medium term. If it goes longer, then obviously the prices will have to go up for everybody. But what matters is the pace and the intensity. You can withstand heavy rain, so can I. What we cannot withstand is a deluge. And a deluge is what is on us if we were to allow a 40 cents US per liter price to come.
In sports, we begin with football news. Professional Football Jamaica says video assistant referee VAR technology will not be introduced for the remainder of the Jamaica Premier League season, despite controversies surrounding a disallowed goal in Sunday's semi-final clash between Portmore United and Mount Pleasant Academy. PFJL Chief Executive Officer Owen Hill says the organization cannot currently afford the cost of implementing VAR technology. Mr. Hill says while the technology would be beneficial, financial limitations remain a major obstacle. Now to cricket. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force extended their lead on day 3 of the West Indies Championship final, building on a 17-run first innings advantage against the Guyana Harpy Eagles at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua. Here's more in this report from Nasira Mohammed.
In their second innings, the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force were anchored by a stellar knock from left-handed opener Evan Lewis, who remains unbeaten on 122 of 246 deliveries, a patient innings spanning over 400 minutes at the crease. Lewis hit 16 fours and 2 sixes at a strike rate of 50. He had solid support from Amir Jangu, who contributed 48, and Jason Mohammed with 37. Red Force closed day 3 on 265 for 8, with Verisami Pramod the pick of the Harpy Eagles bowlers, taking 3 for 18. Kimo Paul also claimed 3 wickets, while Shamar Joseph has 2. The fourth and final day will be an all-out scramble for both teams, pushing for a win.
And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.